We'd like to welcome you to the Maritime Medical Marijuana Show. This is our pilot episode, and we hope to bring you many, many more. My name is Chris.
My name's David.
And we're here to introduce you to the magical world of medical marijuana.
Shoutouts.
Well, before the shout-outs we'd like to shout out to would be Karma Compassion Society. This show is brought to you by Karma Compassion Society. And at Karma Compassion, we believe that patients suffering from conditions that can be treated through the use of medical marijuana should be allowed to do so without fear of discrimination, persecution, or fear of arrest. Okay? We at Karma Compassion take care of patients from Ottawa to Halifax. And by that, I mean we help people grow, prepare, consume, and manage their medical marijuana. Also like to shout out to MUM, Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana. They're a group that get together once a month in Halifax, right here. And they get together hoping to affect change in the current stance the government has against this miracle plant. That's mum.ca. It's a great site. We're always looking for new members to join and help us out with events like the Global Marijuana March or Cannabis Day.
Yeah.
Just gone by was a good time. We'd like to have seen more of you there. Also, there's madstories.ca, madstories.ca, and that's a website that's been put together by David here. And what that does is it helps you to find the information that you need to help you get access to medical marijuana, whether it be the forms for Health Canada, the proper way to dose your cannabis or turn it into oil, or anything that you might be looking for in regards to doing medical marijuana. Section 56 applications, court cases, just references. It's a great place to go. You'd spend a lot of time looking up the same information on the internet. David did it for you. It's worth having a look at. So you talk to your doctor. He said that you can use medical marijuana and fight you the license. They'll fill out your application and get your license. You get your license in the mail, what do? You don't know. The doctor can't help you. He doesn't even know that you can eat the stuff. Who else are you going to call? Health Canada? That's useless. They know even less. So that's kind of why we're here. We're here to help patients learn how to use and manage their medical marijuana, to the best of their abilities.
And we kind of want to make it fun and stuff while we're doing it, so,
if we're too boring, feel free to let us know.
Yeah. Tell us to lighten it up a bit, I guess. So what we're going to do today for our show is...
I'm going to light a joint. You tell them what we're going to do.
Yeah, sure. And any of you guys, feel free if you need to medicate,
But don't burn yourself. That's just hurt.
Today we're going to go over basically what medical marijuana can treat and how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before you know how to use it, you might as well know what it's good for.
There's so many testimonials out there. Patients with cancer, HIV/AIDS, anxiety, chronic pain, Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia, scleroderma, neuropathy, epilepsy. There's so many testimonies.
Come on,
out there.
20 more. Give me 20 more.
Arthritis,
They get the point.
severe spinal cord injury or disease. Yeah, so it goes on, and people. If you just look for evidence of medical marijuana
for whatever
working,
condition that you might have.
Yeah, it's out there. People are testifying. So, if you had any of those conditions or symptoms, or maybe one that I never mentioned, and you think it might work, maybe you want to try it. What we're going to be doing in our shows is interviews with patients, how it works for them, how they use it, any kind of legal issues they run up against, any kind of political views many patients have. That's one of
because everybody's got an opinion, and it's nice. We learn by sharing what we know. So, okay, if somebody has Crohn's and they tell me how it works for them, then maybe I can use that knowledge and save myself a little suffering.
Yeah. All right. Chris.
Oh, is it over to me now? Okay. Um, well, now that you know that all the different, some of the different things that medical marijuana can be used for, I guess the next thing would be how to get it into you. I guess we all know about smoking. You know, there's eating. There's all kinds of different ways. But what's the best way? The best way and the most efficient way to not waste any of it would be to eat it. Now, I'm not a cow, so I can't eat raw bud, okay? I'd rather chew up and swallow a broken light bulb. Okay, some people, okay, they can eat the raw plant, okay? Good for you, show off. Because I can't eat the plant, I know it's the plant that's the problem. It's not the crystal that's the problem. I want to keep the crystal, get rid of the plant, okay? To do that, you wash it off. The crystal washes off with almost any solvent, alcohol, naphtha, hexane,
organic solvent.
Organic solvent. So, using a solvent, you wash the crystals off the plant. You wind up with the resin. It's the most concentrated form of the plant. It's the oil called Rick Simpson oil. It's made the exact same way as if you were going to make jasmine oil from a bunch of jasmine flowers. You got to soak it in a solvent and then evaporate it off.
I like cannabis oil the best because it really gives you an idea of what it actually is. But there's so many different names for it. But you know, most people know it.
Rick was calling it the hemp oil, but it's also called now more widely known as the Rick Simpson oil, RSO. Now Rick Simpson's the guy for whom they named the oil, and he lives used to live in a rural town and out towards Amherst, and he was giving away the medicine to people that he knew that were sick, that had cancer, that had diabetes, that had tumors.
Yep.
And he saved hundreds and hundreds of people. Because he did that, he was off to Austria to receive a Humanitarian of the Year award from the High Times magazine. And while he was doing that, the RCMP raided his house. And now he lives in Austria in exile. He can't come back because as soon as he does, he goes directly to jail.
Was he in Austria receiving the award when it happened?
I'm not sure if it was in Austria or if he was in Amsterdam or something, but he was receiving. I think now he is in Austria. He just put out a new book. Actually, I think he just put out a new book, and that would be worthwhile looking into. I didn't, but I will for the next episode. And he, like I said, he made the oil. Him and his family, they laid it all on the line to save lives.
Yeah.
He can't come back. He's got other family members that are in jail here, and a lot of respect has to be given to him for really putting it out there.
Yeah, and he made a video about everything he was doing too. Run from the Cure.
Absolutely. You go to the Phoenix Tier website. Rick Simpson's website is phoenixtiers.ca. Go to the video library. There's Run from the Cure, the video. Lots of testimonials there of people that he's helped. How they took the oil, how it worked for them, what they've cured. And it explains how and to make and take the medicine as well. That's where David wanted to give a couple people a little bit of a caution.
Yeah, when we were talking now in the video about the cannabis oil and the butters and everything else, we got to let you know that you got to be very careful. For one, some of the things like making the Rick Simpson oil the way that he recommends, that could be very dangerous. You can have it explode on you and you could be badly hurt or even worse, pass away. And then there's the fact that it's illegal. So even if you're only allowed to have the dried cannabis, the cannabis marijuana, to smoke it or eat it.
Yeah. So
anything else you make, it doesn't matter if it's a cookie or cannabis oil or tea or anything like that. It's becomes then an illegal product for you, even if you.
Because you concentrate, you've changed it. Okay.
Even with a legal license, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to have those other things. And is cannabis, even cannabis marijuana, is not approved under the Food and Drug Act as a drug. It's interesting to say that. I want to let everybody know that it is approved as for the medical purpose of the holder. So it's for the individual. It is medically approved, but it's not approved under the law to give it the definition of a drug. If you do want to do a lot of these things, you can do a Section 56 exemption we were talking about. It's basically a letter you can send to the health minister, and you can say, I want to make cannabis oil because I have cancer and my doctor agrees that it might be beneficial to me. The harms aren't going to be any worse than what I'm going through, and hopefully the health minister will send out an exemption for you to do that.
He sent out a few now, has he?
Nah, patients have sent in.
Checking those around,
Patients have been sending in Section 56 exemptions to the federal health minister, but she has not yet approved. As a matter of fact, she has denied a few patients. I don't know if she's denied a patient yet who had doctor support, but as it stands now, there's been patients that have been denied Section 56 exemptions. So unless you can prove to the health minister that you deserve it, it's pretty much going to be illegal for you. Now, the Rick Simpson cannabis resin usually comes in vials of 5 milliliters or 10 milliliter syringes. The recommended treatment by Rick Simpson is 1 vial a week for 3 months. And
he kind of says it on the video that it's a pound of weed turns into 2 ounces of oil, which you have to eat in 3 months. So yeah, like you said, it's a vial a week for 3 months.
Now that's his recommendation, I believe, for
curing cancer.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, that doesn't mean if you've got other things that you have to take that much.
Yeah.
That's if you have cancer. That's to cure a disease, right?
And again, Rick says that's the cure, and he's got people on his video testifying that that's the case.
He has tons of people testifying that that's the case. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've seen it myself.
Now, one of the things about the cure, if you are going to take this treatment, cannabis oil can be very potent. You'll be it's not fun if you're taking the recommended treatment. You're going to want to lie down because it's likely you could end up being dizzy, and you don't want to fall down and hurt yourself.
Imagine being hammered all the time, okay? So hammered you can't function, right?
Yeah.
When you're taking it to that degree, you're going to be pretty messed up. Now, the good thing is if you have something to do, a doctor's appointment to get to, somebody you got to go visit, if you just don't take your oil for a little bit, a few hours later, your head will clear, you go do what you have to do, and come home and take your oil again. Okay, I mean, you're managing your own health.
Yes.
Okay, so it's time to manage your own health. Okay, you take it when you need it, when you have stuff to do. Take a half dose so you can still get some pain relief, but you can function.
And when it comes to medical cannabis, really that's what it is. It's about managing your own health because, like we said at the beginning, most doctors don't even know how to recommend cannabis or how patients should use it. Some of them even think it's not legal in Canada, which is not true. But so anyway, you do have to take things in your own hands that way. Decide, figure out what's effective for you. So we've been talking about the Rick Simpson oil that you get from the cannabis, and what does that all really mean if you've applied for a license and you have an authorization to possess?
Oh, let's figure it out for everybody. If you have an authorization to possess for 30 grams,
so
what's that work out to?
A 30-gram license basically means you are having 1 gram a day of cannabis on average.
Yeah.
So
you can pop one big nugget and be done with it.
Yeah, and one quick, nice little math thing is you just take your cannabis for converting it into Rick Simpson oil, divide it by 10. So for your month, you got 30 grams. You divide that by 10, and that's how much Rick Simpson oil approximately that you'll get from your cannabis. So 3 grams of resin for the month. So if you're taking enough resin every day, that works out to that equals 0.1 grams of cannabis resin a day. So now you know how much weight of medicine, if you have an authorization for 30 grams, you'd be taking a day.
Yeah.
How do you know how to take that?
Oh, well, Oh, you weigh it on the little Coke scale you're gonna have to buy. No, you got to take that .1 and add it to something to make it bigger so you can spread it out. Okay, it's easier if you add your whole 3 grams to something and then you can spread it over your entire month.
Yes. Help split it up easily. Some people do the guesstimate method too. So
that's how I do it. I stick a toothpick in a jar and okay, if I'm really feeling bad, I take a bigger toothpick. If I got stuff to do, I take a smaller toothpick. It's the self-regulating.
One of the things that can happen though, if you end up doing that, is if you some person said used an analogy with rent. I think I heard it once. Come the end of the month, there's
absolutely. If you're trying to manage your dose and trying to manage the fact that your 30 grams or your 3 grams of oil is going to last you 30 days, then you can't just willy-nilly dip into the jar and take what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to know, like you said. So there's not more month left at the end of the marijuana.
Yeah. So, and a couple things about the Rick Simpson oil that we need to talk about. Where does it come from?
Exactly. Well, I mean, if you either make it yourself or you get it from someone else. And if you get it from someone else, man, people spray all kinds of crazy stuff on their crops these days.
Yeah.
Some of the pesticides are neurotoxins, and not one of them is good to be smoking. So you really have to be concerned. That and mildew, and there's a lot of possibilities. Just the food that they chose to feed it with. If they didn't flesh it properly, you're going to get those there's heavy metals and stuff in some of those foods, and you're going to end up taking that out with you. So if you're not growing it yourself, then you don't really know what's in it unless you've had a chance to talk to the person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big health concern.
Once you have the Rick Simpson oil, it does last for quite some time too.
Oh, I've never even heard of oil going bad. I've never even heard of it. Now, I will say, with the Rick Simpson oil, like he says in the video, okay, when we were just talking about dosing. The Rick Simpson oil, they talk about taking half the size of a grain of rice.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's a good place to start, okay? If you find that that's a little too much, take half of that, okay? But with a half the size of a grain of rice, even if you don't feel good, it's not going to be that bad. Mm-hmm. Drink some natural fruit juice, grape juice, apple juice, something. Go lay down, take a nap, you'll feel better. Okay? It's nothing bad can happen to you, okay? I say that and David usually laughs at me.
Well, it's
nothing bad.
Yeah.
You can get too high, get dizzy, fall down and bump your head.
And who knows, there might be the one person out there that could react to it, but many people have heard, as long as there's been medical marijuana, there's been no deaths from medical marijuana. That's a well-established point in the medical cannabis community. And we figure it's one of the most optimum ways to take it.
Well, because you've got the purest form of the medicine, and you're getting it right into you. I mean, you could take it, you could smoke it, and then you're going to waste it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might as well eat it. I mean, in order to get medicine into you, you have to eat the medicine.
Yes.
Smoking it, I mean, there are benefits to smoking it, of course.
So we were talking about putting it into something to mix it. Like if you had 3 grams of cannabis oil and you mix it with, say, 10 grams of butter, you can mix those together and you got 13 grams of oil. A good way to split it up is by using capsules. So you can take that 13 grams of mix and split it up over 30 capsules, which are just little tiny pills that you fill on your own.
Yeah, you can get them a lot of places, health food stores, the bulk barn. Okay, they a lot of places sell the little capsules and kits for filling them.
Yeah, and then if you take you split your 3 grams a day of cannabis oil over those 30 capsules, you can take 1 capsule a day and you're taking your average daily dose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing with capsules that a lot of people do, I said mix it with butter, and it helps you split it up more evenly. But people use lots of different
stuff.
Yeah.
Ginseng oil, peppers. There's just countless things to add to it.
Yeah.
Pepper, for example, is
Capsaicin.
one that really increases the nutrient uptake of anything that you put with it. So it actually helps the cannabis oil work better because you are able to process it better.
Yeah, some people use hemp oil, grapeseed oil, whatever you want to put in there is like a extra supplement.
I mixed it with the hemp oil and rubbed it all over my arms and stuff. So I mean, it works great.
Jasmine oil, all that good
doesn't
stuff.
matter. It's whatever breaks it down and is able to help it spread out.
Yeah. All right, so we went over capsules, but a lot of people, when they end up making their stuff or using cannabis and splitting it up, they end up making recipes.
Well, people like to bake with it. I mean, since we were kids, the first time we took a handful of pot, threw it into a brownie mix, and tried to choke those down and pretend that they tasted good.
Now, kids, don't do that.
Bad idea. It's just easier to just take the bud, cook it on the stove at a really low temperature for a couple of hours, and strain off the butter and squeeze it all out. And whatever recipe that you're using, if it calls for butter, you just use your can of butter that you've made instead.
Yeah.
You wind up with a nice clean product that barely tastes like pot, which is nice because it's not the best tasting thing in the first place.
Now, many patients who know about edibles, again, the dosing problem has come up in the past. I know myself, I've eaten too much. I didn't realize how much I was eating, and I turned green. That's what they say. So I ended up being nauseous and all that stuff.
Greening out.
So there's a couple of recipes that we think will help you guys as guidelines figure out what to do. It worked for me. I knew how to better do it.
Well, the biggest thing, you need to decide what you want to bake first. If you want to bake cookies, you need butter. If you want to bake cupcakes, you're going to need oil.
Yeah.
Okay, like cooking oil, like canola oil or a vegetable oil or a corn oil. If you wanted to make firecrackers, you just mix a little bud with some peanut butter and throw it on top of a Ritz cracker and throw it in the oven for 5 minutes at the lowest temperature.
Yeah.
Boom, that's a firecracker.
Yeah.
It's the down and dirty way to get it into you.
Yeah.
I mean, the butter is just so much cleaner.
And
you're not picking anything out of your teeth.
It's so, I know that, but for a lot of those people out there it might be their very first time making their own edibles.
So
they can
make
take
something yummy.
You can take.
Come on now.
Well, you can take the cannabis resin too and put it into your peanut butter mix.
You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, okay?
I know it's not good. But for those people that want to try it, and it's very easy to figure out how to do your own dose, you take your 1 gram, and you can take a little tiny piece out of it and make a firecracker out of that one piece and see if it's powerful or not. Or you can take that full 1 gram and break it down and put it in 4 crackers and eat it over the day. Try one at a time. Wait a couple hours.
Cookies are way better.
Yeah, they are. So let's talk about cookies.
If you got a 30 gram a month
license,
okay, and you want to make cookies, okay, the standard strength can of butter that you make is usually a half an ounce of bud for a pound of butter, okay, or an ounce of shake for a pound of butter, or if you were using the Rick Simpson oil, okay, where it's 14 grams of bud for a pound of oil, it would be 1.4 grams of oil for a pound of butter, okay? And you can just add the 1.4 grams of oil to the butter, and then you've got a pound of butter with the cure in it,
yes.
Okay? Now, a standard cookie recipe uses a half a cup, which is a quarter of a pound of butter. So 1 pound of butter will do you 4 recipes.
Now, for
four recipes of 12 cookies. Well, actually, we'll do both pounds of butter. Use your whole
2
ounce.
pounds of butter.
Yeah, use your whole ounce. The 2 pounds of butter that gives you 8 recipes of 12 cookies.
Which is 96 cookies.
96 cookies over 30 days. It's like 3¼ cookies, 3½ cookies.
Well, that one's closer to about 3 cookies.
Okay.
Um,
I'm greedy though. That's
if we,
I want a little bit more. Or you save all those little half cookies, and at the end of the month you get a little extra stash for those days where you don't feel extra good.
And for example, the 30 grams of cannabis a month for the authorization to possess, that's not very much different than what you just said. Or you can add 28 grams, that's an ounce, or you add 30 grams for, which is your authorization to possess.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it comes out to about pretty close to the same thing, about 0.3 grams of cannabis or 0.03 grams of resin
and then
in
you
each
eat
cookie.
3 cookies a day, and that's 1 cookie in the morning, 1 cookie at lunch, and 1 cookie at supper time, and
freeze a majority of them.
Oh my God, yeah! If you're cooking with butters or oils, okay, you have to freeze stuff that's going to be out of the fridge for more than 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
If you made extra butter, throw it in the freezer. Throw it all in the freezer. Oil doesn't go bad. Well, the Rick Simpson oil, doesn't really go bad. But cooking oils, and actually, I don't think cooking oils go bad. I had 1 bottle of cooking oil that was in the cupboard for quite some time, and it was absolutely fine.
Yeah, I've heard the ghee, which is like butter, has all kinds of extra ingredients in it.
Yeah, and I think that's what kills it. Yeah.
And the ghee apparently lasts a lot longer. I know I have coconut oil, and that lasts a long time, even when it's been put in with the cannabis. So some are like it, but regardless, if you put it in the fridge or the freezer, it's going to be that much less chance that you're going to lose medicine, which is really valuable.
Yeah, it's just nothing sadder than making all those cookies and having them go bad in 3 days, okay, and then you're out of medicine, so.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen to you. Okay, so those are with your recipes.
Other ways to ingest it? Just tincture, glycerin?
Absolutely. Tincture is an excellent product. You take some
Doesn't
oil.
do anything for me.
Soak it in some vodka for a while.
Yeah.
Like a month. I usually add a little drop of honey and some mint.
Mm-hmm.
And you strain that all off, and I'll tell you, 3 drops of that under your tongue makes pain go away better than Tylenol or Advil or Entrophin. It's more for acute pain, okay, not for chronic pain. If you got a bad back, it's not what it's for.
Yeah.
It's when you were out working in the yard and you come in going, oh my God, I'm so sore. Okay, in less than 10 minutes it works, and it lasts for 4 hours, and it's magic. It's unbelievable. But it's made with alcohol, so if that's a problem, okay, you can look for another product. It's tincture made with glycerin. Now, glycerin is an all-natural plant-based solvent, okay, and it works, but it's much slower than using alcohol. But it still works. It creates a product that works great, and that tincture works for post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, restless leg syndrome. A lot of the
according to testimony.
According to a lot of testimony.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen panic attacks stop instantly. I had a friend over once. He was kicking so bad I thought he was going to kick my coffee table over. 3 drops under his tongue. He couldn't believe it. He never had anything work that fast in his whole life.
Yeah.
No, so this stuff it's absolutely incredible, and it doesn't seem to matter if it's the alcohol based or if it's the glycerin based.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Topicals, salves, compresses.
Well, like making the oils, I mean, one of the things that I made while I was in the hospital recovering from the burns was I added the Rick Simpson oil to some hemp oil, hemp seed oil. And I was smearing that on me, and that was fine, but it was kind of greasy. So then I talked to Amy Anonymous online, and she was able to enlighten me about the fact that if you add paraffin or just, wax for doing bottles and stuff, canning, to it, you just the right amount, it turns it into like a cream.
Yes.
So I spread that on, and that's way better. It's really helped my healing and reduce my recovery time just absolutely incredibly.
Yeah.
It's magical stuff.
I've seen people put it on their diabetic ulcers. I've seen videos of that, and
a lot of times they use just the straight Rick Simpson oil on the ulcers, though.
Well,
I mean, if
you
you
can't. Dried marijuana isn't a topical, but Rick Simpson oil definitely is.
oh yeah, but no, if you're talking about the salves and stuff,
Yeah.
they don't work as good as, because if you've got something open, I'd want just the oil. I wouldn't want a bunch of other products on there.
Yes, certainly. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's all I was thinking.
When you make your butter and stuff, I don't know if you already said this, but you drain your butter out and you got the stuff left over. You can use that in your compress.
The used up bud with that's still wet with
butter.
with
Yeah.
butter, yeah, absolutely. You just take that, you put that right on you. You wrap it with some Saran wrap and throw a warm, wet towel over it, and it's good for psoriasis. It's good for healing broken bones, for deep bruises and aches, just arthritis, and a lot of problems with pain. If you know where it's all localized in bad knees or something, you can wrap your knees up with the stuff, and the pain relief properties are absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And there's teas. I mean, you can take it, you can drop a bud in some hot water and add a couple drops of milk. You got to make sure you get the milk in there, because the fat from the milk is what helps dissolve the crystals. Making the tea, you're going to break some of them off in there, float around, but in general, you're going to ruin a good little nugget of if you don't throw at least a little bit of milk in there, I think. Or you can juice it.
Well, see, now, if you think that you need the fat for the THC to melt into, I don't know, because there's lots of people that are out there juicing. There's certainly no oil in that. You just take the plant and put it in.
I think it's funny just saying it, juicing.
Yeah, and they don't take the bud either when they're juicing. They take the leaves, and they put it through a juicer and they drink it. I've heard testimony from people with epilepsy who find it works great for them. So there's people that they're saying that works. So I don't. Yeah, it probably wouldn't work for me, I don't think, but I haven't able to get a Section 56 exemption to do that. So.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then what else we got there?
Raw bud and duff.
Raw bud, not healthy for me, and I've never actually eaten the duff, so it would be hard for me to speak on that. But you've made stuff with duff, and
I
find it was fine. It didn't have a roachy taste.
It has a more toasted taste. It doesn't have a roachy taste because nothing was burning in it. Now it definitely.
I guess that all depends on what temperature you run your vape at, right?
I guess. Some people take their duff and they make the RSO out of their duff. So.
Well, and like we just said, I mean, it depends on what temperature you run your vape at, okay?
Yeah.
Because there's only a need to go so high anyway.
Oh yeah, for those who don't know, the duff is actually you use the vaporizer and it's the leftover stuff.
Absolutely.
Just to let people know out there. All right, so
it looks like the pot that went in. It's just not green anymore.
Yeah.
Not black.
So you were bringing up vaporizers, which is good because it brings us to one of our other points first before we really get deep into the vaporization.
Which is
smoking 500 to 7,000 degrees Celsius, or 500 to 700 degrees Celsius.
That's the heat at the end of a joint, 500 to 700 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of overkill because the last thing to come off your pot is THC, and THC evaporates or starts evaporating at 200 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
So that being the case, you don't need to run your vaporizer much higher than that. Okay, you can go a little higher and make sure you didn't leave any of those valuable little buggers behind. But if you go too much higher, you start to pull out things like benzene and stuff.
That's right.
Okay, so there's no point hitting. I think it was a 215 you said or something, or
I'm not sure exactly. 205, 215. We'll make sure we get the information there below the video of the exact temperature that benzene happens at. But as far as I know, 185. They've done medical studies with that amount, and that seems to be a good temperature for a good clean vapor.
Oh, for sure. I mean, what it is your cannabinoids, your CBDs, they start to evaporate at 66 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
Your CBNs, okay, they start to cook off at 185 degrees Celsius, and then your THC boils at 2. Okay, so after that,
Yeah.
you're just burning up the plant.
Well, there might
it.
be like there's 60 cannabinoids in there, so there might be even heavier cannabinoids that aren't boiling off at those temperatures.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I'm sure.
at the point that you start getting up to those higher temperatures, the problem is those toxic chemicals. So you kind of want to avoid those.
Yeah. So
another thing about vaporizing is you need to kind of know it's sort of like a pot of water. The oils in the cannabis plant, just like a pot of boiling water, you can have boiling temperature, and all of the water is just steaming off really fast. But you can have water on the stove that's on 80 degrees Celsius, and you will see the steam coming up off of the pot.
Absolutely.
So even though the boiling point for THC is 200 degrees Celsius, there's that range where
absolutely,
if it wasn't 200 degrees Celsius, maybe something lower, 185, 100, who knows, it still is steaming off. The oil is turning into steam and coming into the bag.
Good example. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And that brings
really?
us to
Well?
that brings us to current events.
Yeah.
Today is the 19th of July.
That's right.
2012. Pilot episode. That didn't sound too bad. I think we're doing all right.
Yeah. It's
So,
late at night, too, so you'll probably be watching this on the 20th or maybe the 21st.
Probably. But we're going to talk about a couple of things that are going on in the cannabis world right now. We got top and first and foremost seems to be Matt Murnaugh. You know what was going on with Matt Murnaugh? Enlighten us a bit.
Well, Matt Murnaugh was in a smoking area. It was in like a square. He was there to watch a movie. Everybody would be outside watching this movie, and he was there using his bong in this square. It's a smoking area, and this guy Matt Murnaugh, he's allowed to possess and use medical marijuana, but he doesn't have an authorization to possess. He went to the Ontario Supreme Court and basically argued that doctors were a barrier. He has many medical conditions, and he tried to get a doctor to sign for him. Never happened. Doctors are a barrier, so he proved in court, and it's in the database of judgments for the Ontario court system. So the police came, and he's using his bong, watching Dazed and Confused. That's actually the movie they were supposed to be watching.
Like he's legally allowed to be able to do.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a license, and he, as far as I know, he's been told
they
by
wouldn't
his...
give him one.
But as far as I know, he was told by his lawyer that if the police come and ask him, that he tells the police that he's in the databases, the court decision, and this happened. The police came, and Matt Murnaugh let him know, and whatever reason, the police took him into custody.
They
and,
didn't just look it up?
No,
like, we can look it up. I can Google that.
Yeah, and if anybody out there wants to, you can go Google it right now. But apparently, the police had no ability to look him up.
Maybe their Wi-Fi was down.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hassle. So they took his cannabis, they took his bond, they put him in jail for the night, and he got, as far as I know, he got his cannabis back.
Is he gonna sue?
There is talk about him suing for his raw bong.
They should go buy their own bong. If they want a bong, they should go buy their own. Don't steal somebody else's that he got from.
I don't know.
Oh my. Anyway, besides that, we get a new book release, Hempology 101.
The History and Uses of Cannabis Sativa, $24.95.
Right on. That's put out by Ted Smith. He's the longtime activist and professor at the University of Victoria, teaching a course there called Hempology 101. You can actually see the course online. It's a YouTube available course. So
yeah,
Yeah, it's worthwhile looking into. Some incredible stuff there, and just a brand new book out, worthwhile looking into.
A little bit of history on Ted Smith. He's, as far as I understand, he's the owner of the Canada Buyers Club of Canada.
Okay.
Out of, British Columbia, and some people may have even heard about the cookie case with Owen Smith, where, just like we've been talking about, it's not legal to possess anything unless it's dried cannabis. And the cookie case was about making cookies for patients, and because we're not allowed to do it, they found that it was unconstitutional in the British Columbia court. And
well, it's amazing anyway.
Ted Smith and Owen Smith aren't related, but Owen Smith was making the cookies for the Canada Buyers Club of Canada. What were you going to say?
Well, it's they want you to eat it. Okay, if you talk to the doctors about using medical marijuana, anybody that has a problem with it, the first thing they say is, "Well, smoking's bad for you."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's their first argument. Okay, so you go, "I want to eat it," but you're not allowed to.
Well, you are, but the
No,
way
but not
they
in
want
any
you to
way
eat
that
it,
anybody can. Okay,
yes.
Okay,
it's a ridiculous way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're allowed to have a car, but you can only push them.
Okay,
it's ridiculous. It just
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense. I mean, why would they not let you use it the safest way possible? They let you use it the worst way. No, you can use pot, but you can only use it intravenously. Okay, it's the only way you're allowed to do it now.
I did hear that the even though it's not marked as one of the ingestion methods on the Health Canada forms, I have heard that the Crown during the court case with Owen Smith said that patients can stick it up their bum. So
yeah,
that seems to be the approach of the government, is not really thinking about the patients, just how to control. I don't know.
But we're thinking about you, and that's why this is being done. Yeah. Okay, and what else we got? We got the August edition of the Journal of School Health Study. Just come up with a study saying that alcohol is the gateway drug.
It's not marijuana.
Not marijuana, it's alcohol. Okay, who knew? Anyway, it surprises me all the time. Then there's Health Canada and the personal production licenses and the designated growers licenses.
Mm-hmm.
The big 2014 proposed changes to that, and how that's going to affect everybody. I don't know what you guys think. Kind of scared about it. I mean, I don't want to give up my right to grow. I like how I do it. I like the fact that I don't spray things on my plants. I know what I'm eating. I know what I'm smoking.
Mm-hmm. Health Canada, by the way, for those that don't know, they seem to be pushing forward that growing cannabis in the home is dangerous. Just that seems to be their angle. So they're saying that we're not able to take care of ourselves and grow our own marijuana. It's dangerous. So they're going to take away the licenses from the patients and give it to commercial producers.
Yeah, so the great big warehouses of people growing it. And you'll be back to paying $5 a gram plus tax, like we were from the government, for their crap, and you won't have a choice.
Even more, it'll become the fair market value. Whatever the fair market value for cannabis is from these commercial producers, Health Canada is only supposed to cover their costs. At $5 a gram, that's supposed to be because we're making it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, right. Okay, that makes no sense.
But we have to make back our expenses for running the program. That's the reason why they charge $5 a gram. Yeah. So recently, and this is why we're bringing it up in the current events, that was the background.
Yeah.
There was a access to information request from a news station. I'm not sure exactly who now, but they had asked. There's these inspectors that are supposed to, under the law, be able to come out and inspect patients to see if their grow is legal.
You signed to let them do it when you signed for your license.
So these health Canada inspectors are there, and they put in the access to information request how many patients have been inspected. Comes back, no records. So, what this really means is
they didn't do it.
Yeah, they've had this program, and now they're complaining about abuse. They're saying it's not safe for the communities. We got to take it away because you guys are abusing the system. Yet in the 11 years that the program has been in place, they never enforced it.
They never managed the system at all.
It'd be like saying, okay, guys, you're allowed to drive, all right? Everybody's allowed to drive. And then 10, 11 years later, they say, well, things are too dangerous. People are having accidents. Only the commercial industry now is allowed to drive because you guys are not responsible. But in the meantime, they haven't, pulled a single person over as long as there's been driving. That's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
Now, like Chris was saying, you did sign over that these Health Canada inspectors
can come in and look for whatever it is that they want to look for. Yeah, the thing is, at the time, I don't think any of us really realized the scope of what they're allowed to look for. They're allowed to look anywhere, any receptacle that marijuana can be stored in. Okay? Any receptacle of marijuana. That's like anywhere. They can pull the sides off your computers.
I thought you were going to say your house. Anything.
They can go anywhere. Yeah. I mean, they can pull the insulation out of your attic. I mean, anywhere that they think that you could put marijuana is where they have access to look. Mm. Plus, they're allowed on your computer.
Yeah.
To look for grow records, you researching stuff, yields, just things like that.
Yeah.
But they haven't done it.
Well, they might be coming. I mean, if I was Health Canada and there was a news story about how we never inspected any of the patients and we were going to take licenses away because patients were abusing the system, I kind of feel like that's a little bit of egg on their face. And personally, I don't want to scare anybody, but just a heads up, they got this egg on their face. Maybe there's going to be a bunch of Health Canada inspectors coming out to see everybody. So, just keep that in mind. They might be coming out to check out your stuff, check through your drawers, check your underwear, all that stuff. So
and remember, if you're checking and you're eating oil or butter in a freezer full of cookies that you're not supposed to have, that all goes against you. So keep that kind of stuff in mind.
Talking about if you're doing something illegal.
Yeah.
If you're doing something illegal, one of the things you guys might have heard about it, the Omnibus Crime Bill. And
absolutely, it's the one that they snuck in, the Safe Communities Act.
Yeah, so in this, basically what they did is they said if you were doing something illegal with cannabis under certain conditions, you go towards the judge. It doesn't matter if you were doing it for medical purposes or whatever, you'll have to prove that. But otherwise, when you come forward to the judge is supposed to say, okay, I see what you did there. I think you're a pretty alright guy. I can understand this is your first time, but so sorry. The government says I got to give you a minimum of 3 years. You got to go to jail. I got no choice. I got no discretion here.
Well, and that just got squashed. That just got squashed, thank God. There's a guy, he was trying to get a crack deal going with an undercover cop, and things kind of went south on him, and in order to save the deal, he started to entice the cop with the possibility of being able to buy a handgun. And, well, these days with the new Omnibus Crime Bill.
Well, this is pre-Omnibus Crime Bill.
Yeah, but it's part of the mandatory minimums.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the offer of selling a handgun has a mandatory minimum sentence of 3 years. And the judge, thank God, was aware that he was just trying. There was no handgun.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a sales pitch. It was a sales pitch to keep the cop interested. So that being the case, he thought it was unreasonable for a guy to go 3 years to jail for a gun that didn't exist, that he never held a gun, was never ever going to hold a gun, and gave him a year instead. So the mandatory minimums don't seem to be quite so mandatory right now.
Yeah, they can be struck down.
Yeah, if it sounds stupid, it is. Let's just say it that way. Yeah. And what else we got? We got the Freedom Tour 2012.
Neil Magnuson.
Yes, Neil Magnuson. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's another you find him on Facebook. His tour is on Facebook.
Freedomtour.ca, I believe, is the website.
Yeah.
Put it down underneath in the links.
Yeah, we'll get that in there. And what is he driving from Vancouver to Halifax?
July 11th to the November the 11th.
Yeah, so it's a 5-month tour, and he's going to stop at all the police stations that he can, and he's going to educate people and talk to them about freedom, the role of public servants, and the dangers of prohibition.
And he's going to be filming it along the way.
Yeah, and he does some filming. He just did a show called Still Trippin' there not too long ago, and it's something worthwhile watching.
It's a documentary style show. I recommend anybody else, they might want to know who he is. Just have a look at that video.
Having a peek.
Yeah.
And who knows if we're still doing the show because you guys didn't mind it too bad. We'll see if we can
have Neil here.
Convince him to pop on in.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I just want to say hey to Tommy Chong from the famed Cheech and Chong. He's not doing so good, but starting to do better. He was diagnosed a few months back with prostate cancer. Decided he was going to try and cure himself with the Rick Simpson oil, and that's the route that he chose. He's now a couple months into it, and
how's he doing?
He got a PSA of 2, okay, which is
means.
That means the tumor is going away, and it's not. It's smaller and smaller. So he's doing much better than he was. And,
so he's testifying then?
Yes, he's absolutely testifying.
All right.
And that's that.
That's the current events. Now, what about weather?
Weather, well,
this is
I
kind
think
of a
it's
local
rained
show,
now
so
for about 2 weeks. Other than a little bit of spinning here and there, so I just want to recommend that if you got something outside, you grab yourself some buckets of water, get out there, make sure that everybody stays wet, pull your weeds away, and should be just about time for your next dose of food to start to go to the bloom food. Your fall formulas. Budding is starting to happen on some of the plants that are out there. Some little white hairs are starting to pop out. So
I haven't seen any on mine yet.
No,
but,
they're coming. They're coming. Trust me. So make sure that you get the right food to them, and make sure you keep them wet. The thirsty girls, the more water you put to them, the better they'll do. So I just want to thank everybody for watching the show.
I hope that you had much fun as we had making it.
Yeah, this was pretty good. I'm hoping that everybody was happy with it. We'd like to say a couple thank yous. One to the computer tuner and Brad for providing the equipment to make the show possible. Okay, he helped set up the computers and stuff. And wanted to mention the Karma Compassion is actually accepting donations for John Cook. Yep. John Cook is the chair of MUM.
Vice chair.
Vice chair of MUM, sorry. The head of Normal Nova Scotia, and he ran the Cannabis Buyers Club of Canada in Nova Scotia chapter until just recently when his ill health is not allowing him to get up and around and help everybody. So he's in a bit of a bad way, and
he's been around for the community forever. Expert court witness.
He's helped a lot of people in a lot of bad positions. Don't know what a lot of us would have done without him, and he's sorely missed. We'd like to see him back.
Yeah. You can go to the Facebook group,
Karma Compassion, or you can just go to karma-compassion@hotmail.com and let us know. We'll get together, and any donations will be dropped off directly to John. Really appreciate it. It's been a blast being here with you guys. It's been fun working with you, David.
Yeah, and
there's
a lot of work getting this together.
I hope we get to do this again.